Hello, my misfit friends, and welcome to another great day here on the aisle. My name is Nancy Carmichael, your humble host and chief misfit, and I gotta tell ya, summer is in full swing around here. The jasmine's in bloom, July's dressed up and playing her tune even as we speak. And summer, of course, can only mean one thing: beach reads and romance. Okay, that's two things. But while we're at it, let's add a third: reunions. Reunited, and it feels so good. And that's what today is all about, because we have a very special treat for you that ticks all of the boxes: romance, reunions, all wrapped up in some 80s nostalgia, and a very special guest to talk to us about all of the above. Her name is Jennie K. Drollinger, and she is the co-author of As Sure as the Stars, a novel inspired by her real life second chance romance. So I'm going to stop talking for a second because I need to welcome Jennie. Welcome to the aisle, Jennie.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Oh my goodness, we're very excited to have you. And I got to tell you, before we hit record, I was just saying, you did something that no one has done yet on the aisle. You've made misfit history. You sent us a pretty cool care package. I was so excited to get this. And it's not just any old care package. It is an 80s care package. So I suppose instead of cool, I have to say rad or gnarly or it was pretty rad.
Totally tubular.
Totally tubular. I mean, my goodness, it was full of stickers. It had your book in it. It had really cool cassette tape, but it's a notebook. It's a cassette.
Love it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It had everything. And it had 80s trivia. Oh yeah, baby. So so cool. Thank you so much for that. Just made my day. So you had me at the care package.
Aww.
So you were telling me, so are you the one that put all that together?
I did.
You did?
Yes, I did. I'm an unapologetic 80s girl.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, we've already got that going for us because I'm a fellow Gen Xer. Yep, graduated high school in the 80s, and we're gonna talk more about the 80s and the story that's set in the 80s. But let's talk about this though, because you co-authored this book. So it was you and Tricia Goyer. So tell us a little bit about Tricia.
Oh my goodness, Tricia was so meant to write this. She has written over 100 novels in the faith-based Christian community. And she and my husband work for the same health company. And they were at a convention and they met. And my husband's like, you got to listen to our story. And she was like, oh, yeah, whatever. I get this all the time. You got to write our story. She's like, whatever, send me an outline. Yada, da, da, da. Mm-hmm. And then she realized he was one of the founders of the company. And he took a listen a little further. Yeah, right. Like, oh, this isn't like a stalker. Like he kept it, like he's very persistent. And then she heard the story and she's like, okay, I need to meet your wife. So Tricia and I met and became instant friends. She graduated in 89. I graduated in 88. My husband graduated in 87. So we were instantly back in that era, she was like, okay, we could do a split time. So we can start it in 1985 when you met, come to present day, go back when you hear a song or a scent of a certain perfume that you used to wear. Like, I don't know if you remember Love's Baby Soft.
Oh, are you kidding me?
Beverly Hills, and then that will take you back. And so, like I said, you've got to check her out, TriciaGoyer.com. And she is a USA best-selling author, and she's done Amish romance novels. She's World War II fiction based on true stories. So she was the one that was meant to write this. We had so much fun talking about jelly shoes, strawberry lip smacker. She resonated with everything. She still has her cheerleading uniform when she was a cheerleader. She graduated from Weed High School in California.
Weed High School. Oh, well, there you go. That says it all. So, what more do we need to, the ultimate 80s high school, right? That in Riverside or Riverdale or whatever shows up in all the 80s. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So Tricia wrote this story, and your involvement in the story is that what you're telling me, this story is about you and your husband.
Yeah, so I provided the journals. We scanned and provided them to her. And she's like, the story's written. All I need are the facts, and we can like put a twist of fiction because we have exes and we're not going to bash them.
Right.
We just want, this was our story and how we lost each other, found each other through divine intervention. And that is all I can say. There were so many moments that I cried. Like, I was like, just knowing the disconnection that we had and then the reconnection and 3 decades of missing out. Like, we led totally different, separate lives. I had a career, I had a family, he had a career and a family. And it was God that brought us together. And it just gives me goosebumps, just all of the little tender mercies. It's like God knew my heart and he knew Bryan's heart. And even though we were living parallel lives and didn't know it, he's the only one that could know and brought us back together. This could not be, you couldn't make this up. You couldn't
script it. Yes.
No.
Yep.
There's no other explanation. There's too many God winks, too many little symbols out there that kept happening. And I actually started telling my parents, this is so weird. This is so weird. And my mom's like, no, this is divine. You deserve this. So Tricia caught right onto it. She goes, the book's already written. I just need your collaboration. And so we changed the names of the children. I have 2 kids in the book. Kelly has 3. I'm having my first grandbaby in November.
Yay! Very exciting.
I'm reaching that status.
The whole new world. Yes. Yes.
And my husband has 7 children and 4 grandkids. So combined, we have 9 children together, which keeps us chaotic and busy. And he is, in fact, my bonus daughter, Kendall, she just had her 15th birthday yesterday. And that's how old I was when I met her dad. So,
Wow. So all these dots connected, and like I said, chaos in the best possible way, right? All of the because what seems like chaos is really God connecting all the dots in ways we could never imagine, and that's what your story is about. So I just want to read a little from the jacket of your book, just that last paragraph, because I love it. Right? It says, a dual time novel told across 1980s Alaska and present day Idaho. As Sure as the Stars is a clean, heartfelt, and sweet romance about lost years, rekindled faith, and the quiet miracle of second chances. A tender tale of forgiveness, redemption, and the love that endures as sure as the stars that wait for dawn's return. And I just thought that's such a sweet, nutshell of this lovely, lovely story. So I want to dive into it. But first, we have a little tradition here on the aisle, and I gave you a little bit of heads up just to be polite. And you signed off, so now we're in. There's no turning back. So our little tradition is we like to play what we call a stupid game. So we're gonna play a stupid game, but this game, I have to say, I'm gonna qualify. It's not so stupid because you actually unwittingly provided the game for us today. So that was a very smart thing to do. So we're going to play a little bit of 80s.
Yay.
80s trivia. So we're going to go back. We're going to time travel back to the world of jelly shoes, Esprit, Def Leppard, big hair, and of course, strawberry lip gloss. Oh yeah, baby. So, all right. So I'm going to use some of these questions. I've curated some of them. We got categories. We got television, movies, music, and tech. So are you ready?
Let's go.
All right, let's do it. All right, so our first category, I picked a lot of music ones, which we'll tell you about where my love is. So let me see. So, actually, no, we're going to start with movies because that's the one I picked up. All right, in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, what is the make of the car that Ferris borrows from his friend Cameron, which plunges into a ravine later in the film?
Isn't it like a Ferrari, a 60s Ferrari?
It is. Yeah. Ding, ding, ding. You got that one right. Yes, the famous Ferrari. Yes. Oh, yeah. Yes, love this. So 86 is when I think that movie came out, which that's near and dear to my heart because that's my graduation year. So, okay. Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, I know. I had like a moment when I realized, oh my gosh, that was a minute ago. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Your 40-year reunion?
Yeah, I know.
I'm saying that loud, and I'm like, how does that happen?
That out loud. Yeah. So you said it for me. Thank you very much. So yeah.
Well, my husband's is next year. That's why we're planning.
Okay, it's coming up. Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, yeah. So it's a good thing we're still here.
Yes.
So all right, let's move on to television. Let's see. I've got 3 questions here. What was the very first music video broadcast on MTV? I actually knew this one.
Yeah, isn't it Video Killed the Radio Star?
Yes, it is. You know your MTV. You wanted your MTV. You got your MTV. Yes. You know your MTV.
I miss my MTV.
Oh yeah. It's gone now, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, that's where Rosie O'Donnell got her start, right? Yeah.
That's crazy.
Back in the day. Okay. Speaking of MTV, let's move on to music. Okay. Oh, of course, you're going to know this one. Maybe I'll do a bonus question too. During a performance of which song did Michael Jackson debut the moonwalk dance?
Billie Jean.
Billie Jean is not my love. Okay, all right. Yes, you're acing this. So I'm going to give you a bonus question. Which soft drink brand sponsored Michael Jackson throughout the 1980s? Pepsi, of course. Did you happen to see the Michael Jackson movie?
Yes, 4 times.
Did you? I haven't seen it. My daughter.
You have to go see it.
Okay.
Oh my
gosh. I heard it was good. Mm-hmm. I heard. All right.
I cried. Yes.
Yeah, I heard it was very good. All right. I'm convinced now. Okay. Let's move on to technology. All right. This one I didn't know, but I'm going to give you a hint before I even ask you the question. I learned this because there was a movie about this. So the question is, and the topic is technology. From which country did Tetris originate?
Oh my goodness. I'm not a techie person.
Yeah, and I'm not either, but this video games, I guess, count. And I was a bit of a video game
Asian
girl.
Country, China?
Well, not really, but another very big country. So I'll just, so I didn't know this either till I watched the movie. It originated in Russia. The Soviet Union at the time. Yes, and there's a whole movie
during the Cold War.
I know. Yeah, and I can't remember the name of the movie. Maybe I'll put it in the show notes, but it was actually really good. It tells the story of the guy who did it and like how he got it out, into the public. So it was good.
Well, you learn something new every day.
Yeah, so that's what we're here for, right? Thank you, 80s trivia. Okay, let me see. How about one more? Because I have so many music ones.
They're so fun.
They are so fun. I know. We could just spend the whole podcast doing this. All right. Oh boy. Song lyrics. How are you with song lyrics?
It depends. We'll see.
All right. You're going to get this. Finish the lyrics to Cyndi Lauper's. I'm not even going to give you the title because I just believe you're going to get this. If you fall, I will catch you. I'll be
waiting.
If you fall, I will catch you. I'll be waiting. All right. And then I promise this is the last one because you're doing so well. One more song lyrics. Finish the lyrics to this song. Papa don't preach. I'm in trouble.
Deep.
Yes. Go
Donna.
deep, go wide, lots of trouble. But she turned out okay. Well, you did an excellent job.
Oh, good. I
passed. Congratulations. This was great fun. Like I said, I think we could just do a whole episode of just 80s trivia. And you know it well. You know your subject matter well. And now, so we're going to take a deep dive into the 80s. So, as I said, all the lip gloss, all the big hair, the jelly bracelets, all of it. So how much of that like was, how deeply immersed were you in like all of the conventionality of the 80s? I'll start there.
Yeah, so trendy. I was always a fashionista. Mm-hmm. I had a subscription to Vogue magazine and 17.
You were in.
Yeah.
Oh, 17, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, 17 magazine. So when my parents uprooted me from my perfect little neighborhood in Idaho and the mall was just down the road, They moved me to Alaska in the middle of nowhere.
No malls, right? Were there malls? Are there malls? Were there malls?
There was one mall that was 45 miles away. And
so that's a day trip right there.
My dad had to like drop me off to meet my friends. It was funny because my mom would give me $5 to go to the mall, and that would get you an Orange Julius essentially, or a pair of earrings at J. Jacobs. My dad would hand me a 50 and be like, "Here, go have fun with your friends."
Oh,
like,
see,
he's like, "Don't tell your mom." So I came home.
That's a lot of jewelry at Claire's Boutique. I gotta,
yes. And that might buy you one tape cassette, because they were like $29 back then.
Oh, yeah, because, the shipping, alone probably raised the prices of everything in Alaska.
Yeah, it was a pretty spendy place to live, but that was all taken away from me. I was 14 and a half when we moved there, and we lived in the book, it says we lived at the end of the road. We really did. My dad was not a school administrator. He was actually in Department of Agriculture, and he was sent up there to clear 4,000 acres of land so they could have produce, fresh milk, cheese, things like that, and build a milk plant. And so that was my dad's job. And so that's why we lived clear out in the bush, essentially. And
did you run into the Alaskan bush people? I guess is my next,
Well, not much because we were the only ones out there. And then now it's a larger community. He pioneered it, really. But for a 14-year-old girl, that was miserable. And I was taken away from my childhood friends. You're starting high school and you don't know where you are. And you're in this foreign country. And to add the Cold War, you're close to Russia. So that was a scary thought. And there's lots of earthquakes in Alaska. And I remember watching how the tsunami and the earthquake in Anchorage in the 60s.
Oh, yeah.
Killed a bunch of people. I'm like, great, we're going there to die.
Yay.
To Russia. We're going to have a war. I mean, there's
all the things
up there.
Yeah.
And then my friends.
Mall is 45 minutes away to the icing on the.
Yeah. And our post office, in our post office, we didn't even have an address. It was general delivery to Wasilla, Alaska. So we had to drive into town to get our mail if I got any mail from my friends. So that was another thing. So I think it was a blessing. The only reason, Bryan says this now, the only reason I went up there was to meet him.
Sounds like it. Yeah. I mean, I'm convinced. So you endured all of that. So if I'm picturing Alaska, I can't say I'm really good on Alaskan geography, but I can kind of picture it. Like, where were you? Southern, northern, middle, west?
So we were in Cook Inlet, the Kenai Peninsula, across the bay from Anchorage. So you could literally see Anchorage in the airport. The planes would fly in over our house to land. And since the tide and the silt, it's like Japan. You can't build a bridge because it would sink. And so there was no bridge. You had to get in the plane and you could fly over. We had a private runway and we could fly over in the plane and be to Anchorage in 10 minutes. Otherwise, you had to drive all the way around the inlet, go through Wasilla, Palmer, Eagle River to get into Anchorage, would take 2 hours one way.
Yeah.
And so it was a whole day to get to Anchorage, but Wasilla was only 45 minutes. And that's where I went to high school.
Okay. All right. So what you're describing to me is a little bit, it sounds like, so I live in Buffalo, but if you go to the lake, you can see Toronto from certain parts of Lake Ontario, but but to drive there it takes a good hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yeah. And so lots of cassette tapes, listening to the radio and 80s music. That's why I love the 80s music, and I go back to those times of driving and drive.
Yeah, it was driving. Driving and driving and driving. Yeah, and I suppose, I can only imagine it was stunningly beautiful.
Oh my gosh!
But,
unreal.
But so let me ask you this: as a teenager, because I think I appreciated beauty as a child and teenager, but in a different way. Like, you're not quite as, because you're immersed in it, and maybe there's no reference point, even though I'm sure Idaho was quite different. I don't know. Were you aware of how stunningly beautiful it was? Or it was just like, I don't want to be here, so I can't.
No, it was gorgeous. It was beautiful. Yeah. The stars in the sky, you could touch them. The northern lights, unreal. So there was so much beauty that we were surrounded by. But in the winter, you would go to school in the dark and you come home in the dark. And in summertime, it was the land of the midnight sun. The sun would never go down. And so it was a very extreme environment living in. but you got used to it after some time. And honestly, my parents were so good to me. They always let me go back to Utah to see my friends a couple times a year. So we racked up those frequent flyer miles, and it was very helpful to be able to be involved with my friends there, because being out in the middle of the tundra, that was not, and my dad, being a farmer and doing all this agricultural, I that wasn't my personality. It was a mall brat.
Like take a fashionista, put her in the Alaskan bush, and that's a reality show there. That's just maybe a couple decades ahead of.
I was not a happy girl for a long time.
Yes, and the reality shows weren't. They weren't invented yet, so you could have been the very first ones.
Yes.
So tell me, I know you told us a little bit about the process of collaborating with Tricia on this book, but tell me, like, what was it like for you to kind of recall your story? Like, is it just something that you've kind of told and retold many times because it's so unique, or did you have to kind of, go back into the archives and look for old letters or, things like that?
Yeah, that's what I did. And there were moments in time that were lost that I remembered, and actually Bryan remembered. And I have to tell you, before we reconnected and I knew that my marriage was over to my other spouse, at the time I was so heartbroken and sad. I didn't want that to end. And I was going through old memorabilia, and because I knew I was going to be downsizing and leaving that house. And I came across a picture of he and I at a church dance my parents had took in 1985. And on the back it said, "I love Bryan." And I was like, why do I even have this? I threw it away. And I also had a journal. And I'm like, why do I even have this? Because in it was stupid, like rantings of a 15-year-old, like, I hate it here. I love John Taylor. Nick Rhodes is fine. I love Leppard. I'm like, my kids are going to be like, "What, Mom?" So I just threw it away. It was a 3-ring binder. And a couple hours later, I went out to throw something else away. And I saw a calendar that was poking out. And I was like, oh, that was my 87, 88 year, my senior year. I need to save that. So I grabbed it and put it in another bin. Months later, actually it was a year later, after Bryan and I connected, I was going through boxes and shuffling through stuff, and I saw that calendar, and I picked it up, and you wouldn't believe this. It still gives me goosebumps. There was something had happened when the 3-ring binder broke open. Some of the papers, the journal paper, slid into the calendar, and I'm looking at it, and I saw Bryan Drollinger, Debbie Short, Jerry Fulmer, and I'm like, what is this? That was the story of how Bryan and I met, from 1985 to 1988. And I was like, how did this get saved? If I'd saw that, I would have just tore it and threw it away. But I was like, what in the heck? So I called him and I was like, oh, I wrote about your class ring. I wrote about Star. There was a situation. There was all these things. And I'm like, no. Anyway, it was crazy. So if that had not been saved, I probably would have forgotten about some things, because this was like, almost 40 years ago. And so I was able to scan that and send it to Tricia. And that was documentation of things that really happened. Otherwise, I would have forgotten, because that's a long time ago. I remember the emotion of how I felt with Bryan. I remember losing him and the emotion of that. So those didn't go away, right? It was just the little teeny stories that I'm going to get you back. I'm going to get you back. And we didn't go to the same high school. We went to rival high schools. And my best friend had moved away from Alaska. So that changed the dynamic of the four of us. And then Debbie and Jerry, who are Ben and Amy in the book, they also lost each other and have a reconnection story like us. So they didn't get married.
Okay. Yeah. So Ben and Amy. Yep. So Amy is Kelly's best friend. So yeah. Okay. I'm tracking with that. Wow.
So
that's
there was
really
So when she moved away, when you move away back in the 80s, that far away from Alaska to Oklahoma, you never see anybody again.
Right. Oh, yeah. There's no text, there's no email. No
social media.
And
they move away, they're gone.
It costs money to talk on the phone, right? Not that it doesn't now, but long distance was a thing.
And that was the whole thing, too, about Bryan and I, is we went to rival high schools. We lived an hour and a half apart. I had 15 minutes to maybe talk to him once in a while without my mom getting on the other line saying, Jennie, your time is up. And so it was just like, are you going to go to the dance in 2 weeks? I'll meet you at this dance. And hopefully you show up. So a lot of misunderstandings due to the technology of the 1980s. Like, it happens and you assume things and you miscommunicate and it's easy to lose someone.
Oh yeah. I have a friend that I knew from grade school, and we separated like in end of 5th grade, and we didn't live that far apart, but we just kind of, because of all of the above, we didn't really stay in touch until decades later. And in fact, this friend, so it's not a romance, but a dear friend, I actually, we've seen each other several times. I spent some time with her. She's in California now. And it's just one of those really precious friendships that we've been able to to reunite. So, and it does feel so good. So, yeah. So, and if you've already told me this, forgive me, but do you remember the day you met?
I do, like yesterday. I never have forgotten it. That's the one thing I will never forget, because I had just watched the movie The Outsiders on VHS.
Oh, yes, Pony Boy. Yeah.
So Matt Dillon, oh my gosh. And he was my favorite. And I was kind of hanging out.
Right?
Yes, it's true. So Debbie was concerned about me. We shared lockers. I was 15, hanging out with a 21-year-old. And the reason I was hanging out with him is he was from Germany. He had an accent, and he dressed and looked like Nick Rhodes. He even wore pink lipstick and eyeshadow and had his hair. So so cool. I was like, okay. So Debbie says to me one day, she were standing at the locker. It was September 1985, and she says, "Jenny, Jerry's coming over from Eagle River to this dance on Friday. His friend Bryan is really cute, and he has a nice car. So, and he's more our age."
Got it. So that was her gentle way of bringing you back. Yeah.
So she's like, he should come over, you guys and me. I think you get along. I was like, okay. So we, like you said, we don't have social media, so I didn't know what he looked like. She couldn't pull him up and show me a picture. I was like, oh, okay. So when he walked into the dance, that Simple Minds, Don't You Forget About Me, Sammy Hagar, I Can't Drive 55, those songs were playing. I remember that.
Oh,
and he walks in, and immediately Jerry and Debbie go to the corner, and Bryan and I are just standing there. And I remember he walked in, I was like, oh gosh, he looks like Matt Dillon. He had a jacket on, a t-shirt, and a 501s and Vans. And I'm like, he's a real boy. He doesn't wear makeup. He doesn't even have his ear pierced. Like, he's a real guy. It's like my friends back in Utah. And then we immediately bonded. We're the oldest of 7 children at the time. And we just got along. It was just so easy. And then Debbie and Jerry, the 4 of us, all hung out for, until she moved away.
That's amazing. So let me back up a second. Are you saying both of you are the oldest of 7 children?
Yes. Well, I'm 8 now. My mom had a baby while I was in high school.
Wow. That's another uncanny coincidence, right? You don't run into that, certainly not today, but even in the 80s. Wow, that both of you.
In fact, we would be babysitting on a Friday night for our parents. And we'd be on the phone talking illegally because, our parents weren't home to cap the 15-minute.
Right.
They get the phone bill later, pay the price later. And so
guilty.
He's babysitting and I'm babysitting, and I could hear his siblings in the background. He's like, I am never having kids. They're such brats. And then later I found out he had 7. I was like, what happened to you?
Yeah, famous last words. So let me ask you this, fellow 80s Gen X friend. So do you to this day still love to talk on the phone?
I prefer that over texting immensely. Yes, I can't stand texting. I'm sorry, everyone. There's something you can't. You can hear the enunciation. There's not, it's just clarification.
Emojis just don't do it, right? Yeah. I mean, you can try, but no, I'm with you. Like I loved the phone back then. I love the phone right now. This is probably why I like podcasting so much, because I just love conversations. So
makes total sense. Amen.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's only a few people, like my sisters and my daughter. Like I will like to, and I'm so grateful that my daughter likes to have phone conversations. So we talk on the phone a lot, or FaceTime. But I agree with you. I will text, but if I had the choice, it's a phone call for sure.
Yes, human interaction. Like like that.
Yeah, and I think honestly, this is just my theory now. I'm just I won't monologue on this, but I do believe this generation I think there's something in them that is craving that connection more, and I think we're going to see a turn back towards more human interaction, as you say. At least that's my hope.
As humans, we need that.
Yeah, for sure. So, okay, so the day you met, you remember that well, and do you remember, not to bring up painful things, so you broke up, and so tell me if you can, nutshell, which is not fair, but you have a whole book about this. So when you weren't together anymore, what was going on then?
Well, it was actually, again, technology of the 1980s. Bryan graduated in 87, moved to California. I went back to Utah. My parents, I'm a year younger and a great younger than him. And my parents had always promised me that if I behaved and they could trust me, that they would let me go back to Utah to graduate from high school with my friends, my childhood friends, which I did.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, they honored that. And so while I was hanging out and living with my friends, my girlfriends, Bryan and I would write letters back and forth while he was in California. We'd snail mail. So he was in San Francisco, San Jose, and we would write back and forth, send cassette tapes, mixtapes, pictures through the mail. We probably wrote like 4 or 5 times a month. In fact, he still has those letters. He still has them. And so I went to college in 89 to Salt Lake, and his parents from Alaska had moved to Oregon while he was in California. He went to Oregon to visit, and while he was there, he called me and he said, I'm coming to Salt Lake to shop songs. I want to see you. And I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen him for 2 years. So I was like, I'm so excited. So he called me the night before we were to meet. He said he was staying with a family member and that he had a recording in a studio and he didn't know what time it was going to be done. So he would call me from a payphone and tell me where to meet him. And he was in the area that I worked in, because I worked at the mall. I was in college for $5 an hour. And I was like, perfect. So the next morning, and the last thing he said to me was like, I'm so excited to see you. And I was like, I'm excited to see you too. So the next morning I called my mom, went to call my mom, and the phone line was dead. I was like, what's going on? So unbeknownst to me, I discovered through my neighbor using her phone, calling back in those days, you could hit 0 and call the operator.
Oh, yes, I remember.
Yeah, and she would come right on. You could even call and ask what time it was, and the phone would tell you.
Yep.
So my roommate hadn't paid the phone bill. Back in those days, there were 6 girls. We had moved into the apartment in September. This was in December, right? And she hadn't paid one flipping bill. She was writing a personal check to her every month.
I had one of those roommates. I'm sure she. That's
the morning that US West pulled the plug on my landline. And so when you called the number, I tested it from my neighbor. I tested it and it said, this phone is disconnected. No further information is available. And the first thing I thought was, Bryan's going to think I'm playing a game. He's going to think I did this on purpose, because that's how you used to block people back then. I don't know if anyone realizes the only person that had your phone number business was Blockbuster. That was it. And so you could change your phone number and not have all the, crazy things because of all these apps we have nowadays. So I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to get downtown and try and find him. So I got dressed, and I remember it was noon, because I've been waiting for him to call, right? So I was waiting, and I'd wasted a couple hours waiting for the phone call when I went to call my mom. So anyway, I ran downtown, and the Cathedral of the Madeleine, this beautiful cathedral, I was running past it on South Temple Street, and the bells were chiming noon hour, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And so I get downtown, and I'm looking, it starts to rain. I had a brand new leather skirt on. I had just bought it, hadn't been pre-treated, and it was raining. So I'm like, I'm going to ruin my skirt. And I'm like, I don't care. I've got to find Bryan.
Yeah,
and so I went to the building, the high rise that he was supposed to be in, but you could not get in unless you had a security code or a chip card. And so I waited outside for as long as I could. I went over to the other building and sat in the breezeway and waited, and I never found him. So I was like, I got to go to work. So I went to work, and I got the white pages out, and I was looking for Drollingers in the Salt Lake Valley. There was no Drollingers. And like, he said he was with family, but I didn't think that his mom could have.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Okay.
I'm 19. I don't know.
It was a bunch of missed connections. So literally you became disconnected, like literally.
Yeah. So I went to Alaska for Christmas. I get up there, and my mom says, surely he'll write. He has your address. And I'm like, I don't know if he will. I had a pit in my stomach. And I couldn't call my roommates and be like, is there a letter from Bryan? Because the phone didn't work. And so the volcano erupted. I couldn't get to Utah till
that's right.
January.
Yeah. Wow.
Anyway, it was just, and I got there and there was nothing from him. So that was it. We were done.
Wow. Or so you thought. So yeah, then you fast forward. So yeah, and there's so much more. I feel like I want to have you back to like hear part 2 of the story, but let's kind of, for now at least, kind of bring it into land here, because one of the things, the elements, a really important element of the story, you said, love, hope, and faith. Right? So where does that weave into your story?
It's all God. It's like I was raising my kids, doing the best I could. I had my personal scripture time, prayer time. I never stopped praying. It's like I have a prayer in my heart all day. And it's like, Heavenly Father, please direct me. I don't know what I'm doing. I was in this toxic relationship and I was just like, show me the way. You have to guide and direct me. And at the same time, Bryan was doing the same thing. It was the connection with the divine. And that's all I could do was trust every day. Just do my best, recognize Heavenly Father, and have the faith that things will turn out. Because he's not gonna let he's not gonna leave you. And even in those dark times, I had peace. I didn't know where I was going to end up, my kids, but when I left that relationship, my kids were like, Mom, we're so proud of you. You finally did it. I was like, really?
Wow.
So even though my kids validate me. So it's just all in God's timing. And these feelings that I had with Bryan, it was hurtful throughout the years to hear like a song come up, like Don't You Forget About Me, or I Can't Drive 55. And those songs when we first met. And I remember it like yesterday, like it was a movie. So I would just like, okay, he drove off a cliff and died. And then I'm going to move on with my life. It's like those little moments kept creeping up, and I had no idea someday we were going to be back together. This is why this was all a miracle. If this could happen from Alaska to Utah to Idaho, I even lived in Memphis, Tennessee for a while. I mean, we've been all over the United States. And for us to end up living in the same state at this particular time when he needed my help, I can't explain it.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many, this is how God is, right? These points of intersection, they're so unlikely, right? Like you said, you couldn't script this if you wanted, they say truth is stranger than fiction, but I would say, God's plans are just crazy in the sense that we couldn't even, what's the scripture that comes to mind that, oh my gosh, exceedingly abundantly far above all you could ask or think, right?
And he'll replace things tenfold.
Yeah. So Jennie, how many years was it between that disconnection and their reunion?
32 years since we spoke on the phone, and 34 years since we had seen each other at a dance in Anchorage. And literally when he was walking away from that dance, he was getting ready to go to California, I was getting ready to go to Utah. I thought as I drove away, and I forgot about this until I read my journal, pages that got miraculously saved. I thought in my mind, I'm not going to see him for a really long time. And I watched him as he just walked away until I couldn't see him anymore. And I had no idea it was going to be 34 years later, we would actually see each other. Wow. The first time we saw each other and locked eyes, that came right back to me like a vision, like a movie.
Yeah. I mean, that must explain why, because there's something I didn't mention yet. You said it plays like a movie. It also sounds like, I don't know, this sounds like you could be America's favorite couple, right? So that's something that happened for you, right? So you,
last year.
Yeah, so tell us about that you literally are America's favorite couple.
2025. There was this competition that we got nominated for, and I don't do competitions. I'm not a competitive person. Bryan is, but I'm not. And the reason we joined it is because I wanted to get to know other couples, because I do a podcast too on second chances, like reconnections and the nostalgia of it, right? And so I wanted to meet other couples that had crazy love stories like ours, to provide hope and inspiration to others that don't think, that they think that their story is over, because God is writing his own story, and you just follow the script that he writes.
For sure.
So our story was, Jeff and Emily Goldblum were the hosts, and Ted Danson, and I keep saying Sam Malone and Mary Stevens.
That's how we know them. Yes, that's our favorite way.
So, so they were the hosts and wanted to find the ultimate love story. So I entered.
Wow.
Then we won. I'm like,
wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. Well, it's an amazing story, and I can see why you won. And so your Second Chance on Love podcast, that sounds like something to just tune into. Is it like a weekly podcast?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
So we've actually kind of revamped it a little bit, because we initially started it to promote the book with Tricia, and Tricia's such a busy girl. She's got her hands in everything. So I just kind of led with it, and now we're Second Chances. The best parts are on side B, and we talk about health, reinvention, career. I started a new career in my mid-40s when I was an empty nester. So, and it's a lot of Gen Xers are like, we're caregivers for our parents now.
Oh yeah.
Empty nesters, and we're like, some of us are like having to date again. We're like, how do we do this? So it's just talking about things like that.
I love Second Chances. So I think of just my own story. I think about my story with how God brought my husband and me together. It was definitely second chances for both of us. And even the way he brought our daughter to us, like, it's another just crazy God story that we couldn't have scripted. So
Oh
so I love it.
I want to know more about you.
Well, I hope we can talk again, because I would love, I'd love to hear more of your story. And our story is something that, I haven't shared a whole lot publicly, but it's an amazing story. So
maybe somebody needs to hear it.
That's what I'm thinking. That is what I'm thinking, because like you said, God is all about second chances. I mean, 500 second chances, right? But he's always at work, and he's always weaving all of the circumstances of our lives, the way he's wired us, the choices that we make, for good, for bad, he weaves them all together, right, for good. I think that's another verse in the Bible, that he works all things together for good. Specifically, scripture says, for those who love him. And I think he wants to do that for everybody. But I think when we know it's him, and we can receive and return that love, we see that weaving of working together for good. So
miracles are real. They happen every day.
Yeah, they are.
To see them.
Right. If only we would open our eyes, right?
And the Bible is full of stories of second chances.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So it's true in real life, and we can see it. We can just see it all over. So Jennie, tell us how we can get this book, and so again, about your podcast, and just let people know how they can get in touch with you.
secondchanceonlove.com, and then we're on Instagram, Second Chance on Love, same, and Facebook.
Okay, all right, and we'll put all
and
that
on Amazon.
And you're on Amazon.
Barnes
Get the book on Amazon, and I just got to tell you, this has been such a treat, such a pleasure to talk with you. Just the memory lane journey back to the 80s, and all the big hair and all of the above.
The Aquanet.
Oh yeah. We kept them in business, that's for sure. So thank you so much. It's been such a joy to have you, Jennie.
Oh, thank you, Nancy. It's been a joy.
God bless. Hey, thanks for joining us. It's always more fun when it's more than one misfit. So if you like what you heard, a couple of things. Feel free to share this with someone who might be encouraged with what you heard today. Subscribe wherever you're listening to this podcast. Hit the stars if you like what you're hearing, because that helps us get on the map. And join us on the isleofmisfits.com. That's ISLE of misfits.com for more misfit fun for everyone. Most of all, we just invite you to keep inviting more people to join the square pegs across the land in owning your awkward, in loving your fellow misfit, and in seeking beauty and truth everywhere.